Welcome everyone to the Kindle Report, where I share my 40 years of experience to help you manage your portfolios and protect your wealth. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and share these videos. The market started the week on a very positive note as the underlying trends continue to be positive. In spite of the backdrop of the economy, the market still remains stable. I discussed this last night in that I believe that the stability is market participants pricing in, or at least believing that these programs the Fed and the Treasury is putting out there is going to help the economy. For right now, market participants are in a wait and see mode. This is why I continue to talk about this sideways choppy range. I'm going to do something different tonight that I normally don't do. I'm going to cover some individual stock. After watching Warren Buffett getting blown out for $55 billion, you got to believe there's some opportunities in these airline names. And I'm going to go through the airlines. And on Wednesday, we can talk more about that in the live cast at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. But the reason why I want to cover this, back in my floor trading days, we used to call it selling the whole. You never wanted to get your name in the Wall Street Journal. Otherwise, you were even the high or the low of the day. One of the hardest trades that you have to learn when you're trading is when you realize you just sold the low and the market turns on you very quickly, you have to buy back that position immediately. It's the hardest trade to make, but it's usually the most successful. It comes to the basic concept that you knew you had to trade right in the first place. You got stopped out or you panicked out, you come right back in on this trade. Warren Buffett just sold the whole, as we call it. You have to realize that the government is going to bail out a lot of these companies. They're going to support them. So the downside is probably limited here, in spite of the fact that Warren Buffett sold his stocks. Interesting thing from the stories was sold, which is past tense. So the big sellers out of the market, when I go through these stocks, you'll see there's some positive setups that are unfolding, and there's going to be 20 to 40% made in some of these stocks. But back to fundamentals, this week is going to continue to chop around, but we're going to keep that positive tone. I discussed many weeks ago that May 5th was going to be the time when you start to see these numbers come out. Otherwise, we'll be able to see in the rearview mirror and see the carnage that has happened in the economy. The economy is still shut down, even though there is some movement in some areas, but it's not material. Till we get California, the East Coast back online, you can just forget about any real economic activity. So as this week goes forward, continue to expect to see the typical noise from the administration, the Treasury, and from the Fed. There will be plenty of news that will support anything on the downside for right now. Back on 326, we got a buy signal in the S&P. It remains long and will continue to suggest that the prices will move higher. We potentially could test last week's high. The underlying trends are positive. The fundamental backdrop is terrible, but everybody knows that, so it is priced in at the moment. The only thing that could happen to the current trend is that there's some surprise that came in that nobody knew about that blew up the market. It doesn't appear that's going to be the case, at least for the next couple of days, as the technical patterns continue to look positive. Let's take a look at the charts and see what we can see there. The first stock we'll look at is ALGT, which is Allegiant. This pattern is very positive. I left a lot of indicators on the screen. These are all custom indicators of mine. There's currently projections for the stock to go to around 93 to 102. Even though it's broke through its moving averages right now, it appears it will rebound back above those levels. This line right here shows that just 3 days ago, we issued a buy signal in this stock. So the pattern is showing positive attributes from the PPM viewpoint. So this is not one of my favorite stocks, but most of them look very similar. Let's look at Alaska Air. Alaska, very similar pattern. We have this little downward slope on the bars right here. Our models issued a buy in this stock at $29.03. It's trading right at $29, so it's even on the trade back on April 7th. So it's still holding that trade. PPMs are setting up pretty nice. The objective is $37 to $43. Next, we'll look at American Airlines. Same pattern. As I said in the setup here, they all look the same. Also have a buy signal on American at 1263. It's trading at 1006 right now, a little bit underwater. The objectives right now, 1420 to 1687. I will show you my favorites in a few minutes. Next is Delta. Similar pattern, last 3 days down. We have a buy signal that was issued on 417 at 2461. It's underwater just by a little bit. All the PPMs are setting up a very bullish pattern. It's going to take a move back above the 2260 level. But the interesting thing on this chart, the upside is suggesting that there's a move to 37 to 48. And most likely we'd get up to at least the 37.55 to the 48.62 level. Next is Hawaii Airlines. This is one of my favorites. Our models issued a buy signal on 4/7 at 1041. It's currently trading 1305. The objectives have actually partially been met on this initial pattern, but these are likely to be updated. $14.55 to $17. The secondary objective suggests that a move towards 19 to 20, 1940 to 1920 is likely. JetBlue is next. Same pattern as the others, stair stepping down. The last three bars are down. Had a buy signal on the 29th at 965. A little bit underwater on this one, but these patterns are all set up the same way. You'll see every one of the PPMs look very similar. These are about to make a move up, and this is a big basing period on all of these stocks. There's going to be some amazing plays. We could run back as high eventually toward that 200-day moving average, which would be just about a double on this stock. Next is Southwest Airlines. Don't like this one at all. PPMs are failing. This one is just stay away from this one. Spirit, same pattern, same stair-stepping pattern, but this is a preferred pattern. Targets right now 16 to 2005. So there's a nice trade here, 30-40%, like I said in the setup earlier in the video. SkyWest, all of these look very similar. Now SkyWest got a signal back on 4/7 at 2450. It's currently trading 2620. This is a pretty good setup as well. I like how the convergence of all three averages are there. Projections 3363 to 4025. Take a look at UAL. This will be it. I will go into more depth on these stocks and look at the intermediate and longer term trends and show you all of the possibilities on these stocks on the Wednesday live cast, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This is also not one of my preferred patterns, but it is very similar to all of them. These stocks are going to move in tandem, just like you've seen. There could be an absolute explosive move. Again, 37 to 44 is the target range on the upside. Taking a look at the S&P cash, Monday's action printed down right to this Fibonacci grid, which is 2790. The intraday low was 2797.85. We reversed, closed on the high of the session, closed right at the 10-period moving average. 2843.77 is the 10-period. We closed at 2842.74. This pattern can easily run back to around the 2920 to 2931 levels. The key numbers for the S&P 500 cash today will be 2853. That'll be the pivot number on the upside. A break above that number will signal a move to 2864 to 2876 with the potential going to 2886. The extreme is 2886.85. Overnight, the futures are trading higher. We're up about 0.8% right now, which suggests that we're going to have a higher opening. We're going to be back above that 10-period moving average. Also, the PPMs on this chart are all continue to be bullish. I mentioned in the opening comments that we are still long this market. Here's the buy signal right here. This is on 326. It bought on the open this day. It continues to be long as this trend unfolds. We still have this upward sloping 21-period moving average. The current rate of change on the PPM2 is 0.54. Anything above 0.25 is an uptrend. With a 0.54, there's currently only a 30% probability for the S&P to trade below that value, which is currently 2794.17. That moving average is rising, so to be slightly above 2802, for Tuesday's action. I talked about these numbers several days ago, but these are the Fibonacci projections. They seem a little far-fetched at the moment, which actually are 58, 33.23, and 34.25. There's an entire cluster of numbers, as I've discussed. We got 0.618 resistance at 29.38. We also have the 200-day moving average, which is at 300.27. As I've been discussing over the past several days, this Fibonacci retracement grid is exactly how this market is going to trade. With this rising 21-period moving average, this suggests we're going to trade back towards this 29.30 level, retest the high that we made on 429 at 2954.86. The probabilities at the moment for penetrating that number is only 40%. The pattern that's likely to unfold will be an upward bias for at least one more day, maybe two, back towards 28.90 to the 29.31 level. And once it gets there, these PPMs will start to accelerate more, giving us a higher probability that that 200-day moving average, 3,004, will ultimately be challenged. This number is still in play to London. So there continues to be a positive sentiment coming in as the FTSE in Europe starts to open. The expectations are for Tuesday is a higher opening, challenge 2870, possibly going to 2890 levels. The downside will be limited to 2807 to 2802, and those numbers will apply to the cash market as well. Thanks again for watching. We'll talk to you tomorrow night.